Welcome to the Wild Type Podcast. I'm Neptune the Chameleon.
I'm Lyssa's Lizards.
And we're your reptile girlies. Welcome to the Wild Type Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Neptune the Chameleon, and
Lyssa's Lizards.
What if we did that every time? Could you imagine?
Honestly, be so annoying.
I feel like an arena, like, in honor. My right, your left, I guess you're watching this. We've got the one and only.
Oh my God, thank God we're not that annoying.
I sometimes just don't have that energy for that.
No.
Just happy to be here.
I absolutely do not.
I'm not gonna lie, podcast filming days are one of my favorite days.
Oh, me too. It's just nice because, and it's funny, I actually answered this question in like a program thing that I'm doing, but like I love doing the podcast because I get to catch up with you.
Yes.
But it's also a really fun thing because I feel like on the podcast we talk about stuff that we may not have even naturally talked about.
True.
Just because they're like, just because we both have our specialties and like our different things. And so sometimes we don't get into the nitty gritty, but we do because of the podcast.
That's a great point.
So
Absolutely.
it's kind of fun.
Yeah. This is a good example of that, today's topic, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
First things first, your t-shirt. Because we brought up, because we did the like male Disney characters and you brought up this, it honestly exceeds expectations.
Look at how perfect it is.
There's way more characters on there than I thought there was going to be.
It's literally like almost every Disney villain that I can think. It even has the Fates from Hercules on it. Oh. Like it's got almost every single one.
Wow.
And as someone who has never been a princess girly and always been a villain girly, this is my jam.
It's got Cruella and everything.
Oh yeah, it's got.
You know I'm a big Cruella fan.
I'm also a big Cruella fan, but I'm also Team Ursula forever.
Yeah.
I love her.
And tentacles.
I was her for Halloween a few years ago, and it was
Yzma from Emperor's New Groove.
Upset. I'm telling you, the longer you look at the shirt, the more you find. It's one of those.
The king from Robin Hood.
And then we've also got...
No, he's not the king. He's the prince.
The prince.
His brother's the king.
But we also have Shere Khan over here.
Wow. This is fabulous. I'm so happy you wore this.
No, I know. I was thrilled. I saw it at Target, and I was like, you will be mine.
You want to be mine. Yeah. No, this is great. Yes. So a lot has happened since the last recording.
Yes.
And I think we should talk about it because we did do an episode on tips and tricks for bachelorette parties.
Yes, we did.
And you have just been on one as a matter of just a couple of days ago, hot off the press.
I just got back from Vail, Colorado.
How do you feel?
I'm a little bruised and beaten up.
Bachelorettes are not for the weak of heart. Like
they really aren't.
I mean, there are some bachelorette parties, and we talked about this, of like where you just chill, relax.
Totally.
Those are the minority, though. I feel like most...
They are.
Even if you plan for chill time, and you're like, oh, it'll be not that bad.
And don't get me wrong, we had nap time. We had downtime.
Oh.
It was
you need planned
crucial.
Nap time.
Like
yes.
These girls did a fabulous job of planning the schedule and the timeline, and like everything was great. We had downtime in between everything. That is crucial if you ever plan a bachelorette. Make sure that you account for chill time.
Any trip.
Yes.
No one wants to be go for 5 days straight.
Oh my gosh, that is just a nightmare. Absolutely.
No, when I did a trip with one of my best girlfriends, we did Disney and Universal Studios. Oh. We did...
That's so fun.
3 days at Disney, 2 at Universal, vice versa.
Yeah.
But we had one buffer day. Literally just one day, no parks, just going from Disney to Universal. We could sleep in. We could take our time.
Nice.
Just chill and relax.
You have to factor that in.
Literally a buffer day.
It honestly goes for like any vacation.
That's what I'm saying. Not even just bachelorettes. You need chill time.
You need chill time.
Yeah.
But if we're being totally honest, I am jokingly, dramatically letting you guys know that I'm lucky to be here. Not really. It wasn't that dramatic. However.
I want to make some like pun of like, was it rough waters?
Just slightly rough waters. Just, white water.
Talk the people through your weekend.
So this bachelorette trip was amazing because the girl whose trip it is like super, active. She loves to do like fun, athletic, like active things.
Fabulous.
And so it was, and that's, I've talked about this in our other bachelorette, episode, but my favorite thing about bachelorette trips is when it is so perfectly them.
Yes.
And that,
you did mention that, where it's like tailored to that person.
Yes.
It's a reflection of their personality.
Yes.
Like,
and
yes.
this was like the epitome of her. It was like so perfect. It was so fun. We did all the active things.
Where was it?
Oh, it was in Vail, Colorado. I thought I mentioned that. My bad. My bad. But it was in Vail, Colorado, which I've never been. And that's another fun thing I love about Bachelorettes is getting to like
new places.
Go to new places.
Yeah.
So it was super cool. The weather was insane.
That's what I'm saying. We're in June right now. Like Colorado in June can't be beat.
This was like perfection weather. I mean, it could not have gotten better. But all the activities we did, what did we do? We did paddleball. We did horseback riding.
Or is it paddleball?
Oh my God, no.
Maybe did paddleball, and I just don't know that's a thing.
No, it's pickleball.
I mean, it's called pickleball. Maybe like paddleball's like the new
it's
thing.
for sure. It's for sure pickleball.
Maybe you did cucumber ball.
That was so cheesy.
It's called pickleball. Come on, it was sitting right there.
I love when your humor gets super cheesy. That's like one of my favorite things.
I can't help it. It just happens. Okay,
but yes. So
pickleball.
So we did pickleball, and then which is super chill, like very like lightly active, you know. And then, but we did horseback riding, which I used to take lessons when I was a kid, and so I forgot how much I enjoy horseback riding.
Yeah,
it was so cool, and we saw a like 2 or 3 hour baby elk calf on our horseback riding trip.
Oh my gosh.
No, I know. It was crazy. And they knew that because the guys who were like doing the trail guides or whatever, they were walking us past it while we were riding the horses. And they were like, hey guys, like we saw this mama lay in here and she was without calf a few hours ago.
Now
they were like,
there's 2.
So this baby is like fresh. Like, so it was really cool.
Right out of the oven. Yeah.
Super cool. But then we had a kayaking trip, which kayaking can be very chill.
I don't like kayaking.
Oh. Well, this was, I will say,
I will paddleboard, but I hate
paddleboarding. I can't balance. I have no balance.
That is a requirement.
I have zero balance.
You do need that to paddleboard.
I'm incapable of paddleboarding.
Absolutely a requirement.
Yeah.
No, I did a kayaking trip with one of my childhood best friends. She also listens to the podcast. And we went with her parents who are like very athletic, like casually just ride 100 miles on their bike. Like,
no.
Very athletic. And we are like 2 teenagers. We're probably like 15, 16 years old, whatever. They are like so far ahead of us. Like they're teeny tiny specks. They just left us in the dust. And we did like track and athletics. Like we're not like potatoes, but we're like not okay. And like they're our ride home. Like what you have no other option.
Do? Like we have to speed up.
Yeah, and so you're in these kayaks and it's just like it. So ever since then, I just am like.
That's fair.
I will say it takes one experience.
These were the like big blow up like raft kind of kayaks.
Oh, okay, inflatable.
So they weren't like the tiny little like.
This was like the hard plastic kind of.
Those are. I've never done one of those. I've always done. Well, I actually have done.
It'd be fine if we didn't go like 20 miles.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Too far. Too long.
This was one of those situations where. Because it's in, a mountain town, I think what happened was like the runoff from the snow was much higher than anticipated.
Oh,
and so we had, I guess, when the maid of honor like called and booked everything, they were like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so chill. Like it is mostly floating. It's like 75% floating. Like
love that.
It'll be great. So we like booked it. Everything is great. And we get there and we're just like talking to the guys and we're like, it's a little interesting out there, but like me being me, I'm like, it's fine. I've kayaked a bunch. Like it's no big deal. Like I've been to multiple summer camps. I've like
seasoned pro over here.
I mean, not that good, but like I felt confident in my ability.
Yeah.
So then we get there and literally less than 5 minutes into getting on the water, one girl flips and loses her phone.
Not good.
And then over the span of the next like 40 minutes, 2 other girls flip, we lose a paddle, and we're just like,
are you serious?
No, that was actually the scariest moment because we were like, we're so screwed if we don't have this paddle. Like and it was
when you use your hands? No.
We got so lucky. Basically, one of the other girls had like picked up the paddle, and so it was fine. But there was like
the girl that lost her phone.
Yes.
You're not getting that back.
Oh no, she got a new phone the next day. It was a whole thing. But it was just one of those situations where you're put in a situation, and we had no guide with us either. So we were like, the bride,
which is wild.
The bride is incredible. And she was literally like speeding back and forth, like playing search and rescue help with everybody.
That's her personality.
That's her personality. That's just who she is. She's incredible.
Through and through.
I know.
Absolutely.
And so that's just like, she was just going around helping everybody. And I was helping as best I could. I took paddles to people, and I was like, I have your paddle. So it was really chaotic,
gosh.
But it's something that I have to say, like, it's one of those situations where you just kind of look around. And for me personally, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I am so grateful that I am the kind of person that thrives in crisis. Like,
yeah,
because there definitely
someone has to, though.
Somebody has to.
Someone's going to freak out.
Yes.
And then someone's got to like, slap some sense into them and be like, pull yourself together. You know, from The Incredibles.
Basically. And like, I'm very much the type of person where like, if I'm in crisis, I do not say a single negative thing inside my head. Like, all I kept repeating was, we're fine. This is fine. Everybody is safe. Nobody is hurt. We're almost done. I just kept repeating that in my head. And
make it till you make it. Make it till you make it.
That's the definition of who I am. Like, it's... So it was just one of those things where like some people were panicking, some people were like...
It sounds like it was a good mix, though.
It was a
like
great
enough
mix.
to like be like, hey, it's gonna be okay.
It was the whole group of girls were incredible. I mean, it was just a really good situation in general.
So you mean you are like literally bruised then, probably, from all of this?
Not so much. I wouldn't say like because there were at least like one or two girls who actually had like physical bruises from like...
That would be me. I bruise like a peach.
I do too, but I'm more just like sore from the horseback riding and the kayaking.
Those are activities that your body is used to doing, even if it isn't a strenuous activity. Right. It's just like muscles you're not used to using.
It's one of those things where I'm like sore in like the most random places. I'm like, I didn't even know I had a muscle there.
Yeah, I feel that.
But that was my weekend. It was lovely. It was wonderful. It was the perfect weekend for the bride. So it was a great, great situation. But we did have like one chaotic moment.
It's expected. It happens in Bachelorettes or any trip with a group of friends.
There is always one event, one activity, or one person that like makes everything crazy.
Yeah.
And this was just our one activity.
Yeah, it happens. No biggie. Well, my big update over the weekend is I found Socks a home.
I'm
you guys
so
remember
excited.
In a couple episodes ago, I fostered a chameleon in the hopes that he would get adopted. Then I started a new job, which kind of put that on like timeout because I was just trying to keep my head above water, right, with a job. And I was like, Socks is good. He's fine. I can keep him. We'll
find him a home when we find him a home.
And then I could finally breathe. And I was like, okay. So I put out an application and got a couple people, did some interviews, all that good stuff. So now comes the tricky part of shipping a live animal.
That makes me so nervous.
We've talked about how we've received
I've never shipped.
But I've never shipped.
No.
So not gonna lie, a little nervous doing my research and everything else and like making sure everything's good to go because like gotta keep them safe. But very exciting, and I can keep you guys in the loop as I, have him officially go off to his
I'm
new
so
home.
excited. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Your first rescue foster situation.
Yes.
You've killed it. You've killed it.
Well, it is still alive. You're like, you killed it. You killed it.
Was so dark humor, and I loved it.
I'm like, well, that's the one thing I'm trying not to do.
Literally, that's the one thing I should not do.
I'm trying to keep it alive. No,
but you did a great job. It's so
exciting.
It. Yeah.
That's
a big deal.
One more announcement before we get into all of it. We told you guys we would let you know if we were coming to a reptile expo near you, and we are, but more. Because this is the LA Pet Fair, which we have heard so many good things, and we've been wanting to go to one of these shows for so long now. This is a reptile expo, plant expo, aquarium expo, and bird expo?
I think it's birds too.
Yeah.
Yes, it's totally birds too.
It's like 4 expos in one in this like mega center. It's being hosted in Pomona, California. It's going to be happening this weekend by the time this podcast comes out to the public. So that's going to be June 29th? Yeah, 29th and 30th.
I was like, I should have
I wrote down. June 29th and 30th. So if you're in the California, Pomona area, would love to see you guys.
Please come hang out.
We will be wearing our podcast merch. We will have podcast stickers. Would love to meet you.
We can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and stay tuned for future shows.
I also like haven't traveled to California in a really long time, so it's going to be super fun.
Yeah, and we'll do a recap episode.
For sure.
Whether or not it'll be the next one or the one after depends how tired we are.
For sure.
Honestly.
Expo weekends are a lot. Expo weekends are honestly almost equivalent to Bachelorette weekends.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big one. So.
Minus the excessive drinking.
Yeah, well, go easy on the drinks. Yeah, so that's coming up. But today we are talking about venomous reptiles. And so the first thing we got to talk about is the difference between poisonous and venomous. Because you're a reptile keeper,
Critical.
you know the struggle of how many people who are like, is this snake poisonous? And then you just want to roll your eyes, but you have to take a deep breath. Because they don't know any better.
They don't know. They don't know.
So it's our job to educate. So let's talk about it.
So the perfect way I describe this, and most people listening, I feel like will know this, but if you don't, this is just
There's
like a fun
at least
little...
one person who's about to learn something new.
Yes. So poisonous, and it's a little convoluted, but poisonous essentially means that if you bite it and you eat it as a poison, it poisons you. But if it is venomous, then it is injecting venom into you.
Yes.
So that's kind of the difference.
I was thinking as poisonous as you have to eat it.
Yes.
And then venomous is it eats you.
Right.
Is like kind of how.
100%. And that's technically the right term. However, I do want to clarify that like other languages don't have that different distinction. So it's like... other languages don't necessarily have that same issue that the English language does.
Got it.
And a lot of people will even argue that like venom on its own is a type of poison.
Okay,
so
I can see that.
It's like there's some convolution there, but in general, in the English language, the correct term for venomous reptiles, if they have venom glands, is venomous, not poisonous.
Right.
But for example, there's poison dart frogs.
Yes, but they themselves are
the poison.
Yes, and it's because of what they are ingesting that makes them toxic.
Yes, exactly.
I use the word toxic. Mm-hmm. But in captivity, poison dart frogs are not poisonous because their diet does not have those toxins.
Exactly.
Learn something new.
Fun facts.
So with the reptile hobby, I would say 99% of reptile keepers don't mess with venomous species, but there is this little chunk of the hobby.
There's a little venomous community out there. And
maybe more than 1%.
Oh, for
2%.
sure. Yeah.
It's very small, though, in the grand scheme of
and I don't know if you know this,
keepers.
There are actually like expos specifically for venomous species.
They have to.
Which is super cool.
Because a lot of counties and states and whatever else have rules and regulations for venomous species. And so unless you have all these licenses, whatever, then you can't even have venomous species
in the arena or in the wherever.
Yeah, whatever the expo is. So, okay, so we wanted to talk about, very simply, yes or no, would we ever, well, let's see, we'll ask two questions. Would we ever keep them, and would we like want to?
Oh, okay.
Or maybe we should just ask if we want to.
Yeah, just if we want to.
Yeah.
Either way.
Because whether or not we will, to be determined.
Who knows,
but is there the desire to?
My desire is yes.
So you say yes. I'm like, no. N-O, period.
Hard pass. Pass.
Zero part of me wants to keep a venomous species.
Mine is yes, but it's very specific to certain species and certain animals.
Yeah. So, I know when we've chatted in past conversations, you're a big no-no on venomous snakes.
So front-fanged venomous snakes, yes.
Oh, this is a good distinction because, okay, maybe we should start small. Hognose.
Yes, exactly. So I will probably have a hognose snake at some point in my lifetime. And hognose snakes are what is known as rear-fanged venomous, which means, and if anybody who's more of an expert on this, please let us know in the comments, because we all know I'm not an expert in this department, but their fangs are further back. Mm-hmm. So in order for them to actually inject the venom, they have to like almost like gnaw on your hand. So, or like wherever they're biting. So like they could bite you and you would not get any venom. So there's that factor of like the placement of the fangs, I think.
Yeah.
But then there's also, in addition to that, specifically hognose snakes, their venom is so mild to humans.
Like the toxicity of it.
Because their venom is specifically made for their natural prey, and their natural prey is amphibians. So like killing a frog compared to versus like killing a human. So the only times that it'll be like a bad situation if you get bit by a hognose snake is if you personally have an allergic reaction to it. Other than that, it's basically like a bee sting. Yeah. It's nothing major.
But it's interesting because while hognose, technically speaking, are a venomous species, as a hobby, people don't generally refer to hognose as like a venomous.
It's also like a very commonly kept snake.
Yeah, because the risk of anything happening, while not
slim
zero,
to none.
is so teeny tiny.
So small.
Versus other venomous species where the risk is
much higher. Yeah. Exactly.
So hognose are like, I feel like at the very
they're like bottom of the barrel in terms of venomous. It's like people who actually keep venomous reptiles are gonna like laugh at you.
Could you imagine? I'm just imagining like, hey, I keep venomous.
Just imagine like you're at an expo and you're like hanging out with some people and you just happen to be chatting with a bunch of people who keep venomous. Imagine if you have the audacity to be like, oh, I keep venomous too. And they're like, oh, what do you keep? And you're like, I have a hognose.
Like, you're not wrong. Like, that is a venomous
You're correct.
Species.
It's just in their world, the lamest of all the venomous species.
Yeah, unfortunately. But hognose.
But hognoses are so cool. Yes. They're not lame at all. I just mean in that just context.
In the venom department.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
No, I totally hear you.
Exactly.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so we can start there. If we keep kind of going in the snake category. Yes.
So like for me, and I'm just kind of going to list like the species that I would keep. So I would keep a hognose snake for sure. I would also be potentially interested one day in false water cobras. Maybe. That's a huge maybe.
Okay.
That's like, I have interest because I think they're a cool species and they are also rear-fanged venomous as well.
So lower risk than front-fanged.
But they are a much bigger snake.
Cobra, come on, yeah.
They get, I don't know the exact size, but I know that they can at least get to like 6 to 8 feet. So they're a much bigger snake, but they're a colubrid, which basically just means, I don't know all the exact definitions, but they're like a very active, slim snake. It's, for example,
the nature of a colubrid.
Yes.
Yeah.
For example, corn snakes are also colubrids, and they're non-venomous.
Little wiggle worms.
Yeah. Totally. Super active animals.
Okay. Is there any other snake?
No more snakes. So I will say that is very much where I personally draw the line with venomous. I don't have any desire ever to keep any like truly like hot snake species.
Can we talk about black mamba?
Never. They're so cool. And I love seeing videos of people who keep them. They're so freaking cool. But no, thank you.
That is just like, I don't know.
It's just a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
I am so incredibly naive to venomous species. And what I've seen is exclusively off the internet, like documentaries and stuff. But I know there's like a lot of venomous front-fanged species that are used for like research purposes or healing purposes. And I just like watching those videos of like extraction, if that's the right word.
Venom extraction, I think.
Yeah. And they like did the little things
in the little
like,
cup.
That is so satisfying.
It's so crazy
to watch. Like,
it's so cool.
People have like pimple popping videos they love. Yeah. Mine is seeing just snake fangs just.
I love watching the venom like drip. It's so cool.
Very satisfying.
So cool.
But also
big fan
terrifying. Yeah. Because of the circumstances of everything.
For me personally, snakes, while as somebody who keeps snakes, they are very predictable in a sense. But in my opinion, snakes are always going to be slightly less predictable compared to lizards. And just
do you think that's based off of your experience? Because you have more experience with lizards versus snakes?
That's a great question. No. I just think that snakes can move in different ways. Like
just the nature of the animal.
Yeah, like snakes' flexibility and the way that they can move their body just makes them naturally a little bit more unpredictable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, all the possible directions they could go.
They simply have like more angles to come at you with.
Range of motion.
Range of motion, that is the correct word. Exactly.
We got there eventually.
Snakes just have a higher range of motion, and because of that, it makes it more risky in my mind.
I totally see what you're saying. Yeah, because all the possible directions and opportunities and whatever else.
But don't get me wrong, venomous snakes are also just as predictable as any other snake. So like once you work with them enough, you can build up that level of confidence for sure. Right. I personally just don't have the desire to do so.
Fair. Me neither.
However, there is one species that I will 1000% have one day. Like I am just determined to have this species one day. And it is actually the first reptile that I ever fell in love with, even before leopard geckos. And it is a Gila monster.
Yeah.
And it is a venomous
Gila monster.
Yeah, spelled with a G. Great point. Spelled with a G.
So if you go try and Google it, make sure you put a G in there, even though it's pronounced Gila monster.
Yes. But Gila monsters are one of only 2 venomous lizards. So they, at least in the United States.
Hold on. I need my dumb brain for a second. Yeah. Are Gila monsters the one that are like black in like orangey, little bumpy kind of skin? Okay. Yes. I was like pretty confident, but I didn't. They've got the
big old forked tongue and yes.
Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So there's the 2 main venomous lizard species in like the United States are the Gila monster and then also the Mexican beaded lizard. So
I've seen those too.
Those are the 2, cool. And they honestly look very similar. The main difference is that like the Gila monsters have like the big bright orange.
Yeah, very cool.
So they're so cool.
Okay, I don't know anything about venomous lizards. Venomous snakes, pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Things go in, you're good. So with venomous lizards, like how would they pass the venom on to you? Is it just like they like lick you and then you're like...
It's not licking. it is through...
The sound effect for that.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because it depends on the species and I haven't done enough research on all of it, but it depends on if the venom is in their saliva or if it is in like, I think their teeth. I think it just depends. It depends on the species.
Yeah, and I just don't know enough.
That's one that I don't have a for sure answer on either. So let us know, please. Yeah. If anybody knows that answer, drop us a comment, let us know. But I'm pretty sure it just varies by species because I know some venom is found in actually like the saliva and then some is
that makes sense.
Distributed through like the fangs or other stuff.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
So it just depends.
Know enough of this.
Yeah.
So Gila monster on your list, you're like,
They're so freaking cool, guys.
But there's obviously way more considerations with venomous species. We did a whole episode just on our reptiles escaping. We talked through some like tips and tricks, our own learnings for how can you mitigate risk to the animal, risk to you in your home. Just with like good old fashioned not venomous reptiles.
Yes.
Now you have venomous species potentially in your actual home with, maybe people who aren't familiar with reptiles. Like I know we've kind of talked about this. Like what are some precautions or things?
Oh my gosh, there are so many. And I've thought about this just because like I do want a Gila monster one day. So like I've absolutely taken that into consideration. Like the number one thing is kind of depending on how many you want or what your situation is going to be. Like, are you going to have a bunch of venomous snakes? Because if you're going to have a bunch of venomous snakes, I personally would never do that unless I had an escape-proof room. And what I mean by that is that the door that enters that room is like flush with the floor. There's no cracks that they can escape out of. It's like a sealed door. You know what I mean?
Escape-proof room. Yeah. And my brain just heard escape room. So what I'm imagining is like if your venomous snake got out and you're like, and if you have a lot of them. So I'm like, great. Now there's a lot of venomous snakes that are out. You need somewhere to run and hide so you are safe from all the...
That's hilarious.
My brain just like
such a funny direction.
Way over. Yeah. But what you're saying is also true. Maybe having an escape room is not a bad idea.
It's not a terrible idea.
But I hear what you're saying, right? Of like super secure.
Super secure. So like, for example, like most houses, if you have vinyl floors, like your door has a gap under it. If you have venomous snakes in that room or any venomous species, you better have no gap under that door. Right. Like that, it needs to be like completely sealed. It needs to be like, I would also recommend having like a lock on the outside, especially if you have children in the home.
Right.
I mean, that's like of the utmost importance. And then also, obviously, locks on every single venomous enclosure as well. That's just like, goes without saying. And I actually know of some venomous keepers who even have like almost double locks on all of them just as an extra precaution.
Why not?
It's like you really can't be safe enough, So I think that's really important. But for me personally, the number one thing, if and when I do get a Gila monster, you best believe before I even start putting that enclosure together, I'm going to be finding a venomous mentor in my area that I can talk to, get advice from, pick their brain, maybe go and see their species and see, you know, how they interact with them, what their precautions are, what are the safety measures they take.
Yeah,
should I implement those in my home?
Yeah.
Like finding a mentor in that world is super, super important in my eyes. And then on top of that, there are places like a lot of herpetological societies in certain cities will do like venomous handling training classes.
Oh, very cool.
So there are things that you can look into. I mean, obviously not every area in the country has them.
Looking into.
But if there's some of that in your area, like why not? You know?
Yeah.
So I think that is something that I personally would never feel comfortable bringing. Rear fanged is a different situation. I'd be comfortable with that. But a truly venomous species, I would not get without having some level of training.
No, I feel like that is so smart.
The month of June for Pangea is all about lighting deals and gecko sales.
Now that's a dynamic duo. We talk on the podcast all the time how important it is to have a UVB source, heat source, and a plant LED light to help your plants thrive. So lucky for you, Pangea will be having sales on all different types of lighting.
And if you're in the market for a new gecko, you are in luck because there will be all kinds of discounts throughout the month on tons of different crested gecko morphs like harlequins, tigers, brindles, and even gargoyle geckos.
So you can head on over to PangeaReptile.com to shop their sales for June.
Mm-hmm. One thing that comes to mind, and I'm curious if you thought of this, is there any sort of like medical treatment that you can like keep in your home? Like, I don't know, like an anti-venom, and maybe I watch too many superhero movies, but like something that like...
No, that's fair.
Like the equivalent of like an EpiPen, right? Or like...
Yeah, honestly, I don't 100% know the answer to this. So once again, please let us know in the comments if you do. But there definitely are anti-venoms for certain species. And I, again, personally, myself, I would never have a species... If there is an anti-venom available for that species, I would always make sure I had that on hand.
Right.
So that's just
I'm just wondering if there's
how
like
I would roll.
A medical like precaution or something that you can have in your home if you maybe like don't have time to get to like a hospital. There has to be, and this is why you would have a mentor, right? Or like, obviously I have zero intention of keeping venomous, so I have not even looked into this. Right. You were like way down the road from even getting to the point of having venomous, so it's not even really.
But regardless, like, the number one thing I would say is make sure that you have, like, you know, the exact fastest route to your closest ER.
Right.
You know, that's huge.
These are things we haven't, like, fully flushed out to, like, fully understand, like, all the different precautions that are taken. And I guess, like, what would your reactions be if something were to happen? Like, what's your step 1, step 2, step 3 to, like, make sure that you're okay.
Yeah. And part of that just like varies on species, you know?
Totally. And and your how your home is set up and like how often are you even handling them?
For sure.
Like, if you're never handling a venomous species.
Also, probably should have mentioned this earlier on. I firmly do not believe in free handling venomous species at all. That is very, very scary to me. I think that people should be very, very safe and take all of those precautions. If you choose to free handle, that is your prerogative, more power to you. But that is something also to be very, very cautious of.
Sure.
So, you know, free handling basically means handling with no tools, with no precautions. Like that is
just going right for it.
That is a risk waiting to happen. But you know, if you're willing to take that risk, more power to you.
Not me.
I certainly will not.
Yeah.
But
venomous species are just like such an interesting topic in like a league of their own.
For sure. It's its own little community out there.
It's so different.
We have like a window into that community. But
I'd also be curious, like the stigma. We obviously feel the stigma of reptile keepers,
in
right?
general.
When someone's like, oh, you know, they're outside the hobby and they're like, oh, what do you keep? And I always get pretty easy responses when I say chameleons, because most people don't have like any weird feelings towards chameleons. You get a little bit when you say snakes or anacondas. You know, it gets a little testy.
The eyebrows raised with the anaconda.
But now if you're like, I keep a black mamba or I have this many venomous species, I'm just so curious what kind of responses people get, because we're in the hobby and we're like, whoa.
You know
now
what?
imagine not, you know?
I actually had something happen literally today. I was on TikTok Live. I was not on TikTok Live. I was watching.
I was like, you were?
No. I don't do that very often. Don't get your hopes up.
I'm like, I missed it.
Sorry. No, I was watching a TikTok Live of a breeder, and they were packaging up like all of their hognose snakes, and they were just in their little tubs, and they were taking them out, and their kids were there. So this is like a family breeder, and their kids were sitting there, and they were showing the snakes to their kids and all this stuff. And it was so funny because the dad was telling the kid, like, hey, now remember, like, you know, this snake does have a little bit of venom in it, so you don't touch it. And, you know, he was being a really good parent and explaining that stuff. And there was, of course, a commenter.
I know exactly where this is going.
That just said, irresponsible parent, period. And I literally replied back so fast. And I was like, this is actually quite the opposite. This is incredibly responsible parenting. Thank you so much, Linda.
Educating. Yeah.
I was so mad because I was like, this parent is literally sitting there teaching their kid. Like, it was crazy. So there's a huge stigma to it. There's a huge stigma to it.
And that, again, is a hognose, which we've already said is the bottom.
The craziest part,
venomous food chain.
The dad literally said, it'll just be like a bee sting, but you might be allergic. We don't know. He was saying all that.
Yes, yeah.
And this lady was still just like, ugh.
Yeah, so if we have any listeners that are venomous keepers, like, we would love
I'm so curious
to hear from you.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Love to hear from you. What are your plans? What are your precautions? Why were you interested?
What are your methods?
In venomous?
Yeah.
Like, we want it all.
Yeah, I'm so curious.
Let us know.
I would love to know. So
yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on the venomous topic?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, that's all I really had.
The gist of it.
Yeah.
Cool. We do have plans. We want to do a future episode going into like specific venomous species.
Right.
So we'll do that down the line. So
yeah,
we'll have fun.
Lots of options.
So speaking of TikTok, there's also been this video trend as of late titled like, is it cheating? And the premise of it is like people go back and forth, usually a couple, and they give some sort of scenario and the other person decides, is it cheating?
Is it cheating or is it not cheating?
Yes or no. Now, as we get into this, obviously it's a subjective thing, right? Of like the definition of cheating. But I always think it's healthy in your relationships with your partner to like just be clear.
Well,
of
just
like
have those conversations. Like, what are the boundaries? What are the like, you know, how where's the line?
Because you don't want to do something unintentionally and that be like hurtful to your partner because they didn't know, or like
because some of these TikTok videos, they say stuff and I'm like, absolutely not, and the guy is like, yes it is. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Or like, oh, if you like share a hoodie, that's cheating. I'm like, like that. So again, there's subjective scenarios. So we have a couple. We're gonna play along and like both answer if we think it's cheating or not. I know you had a few written down too.
I do. I've got mine.
Okay, and this is like guys or girls, right? We're gonna be like in the mindset of like, if a guy did these things, because again, that's what we have experience with. But we're so mindful that we have so many listeners that like, fill in the blanks
that don't just date men. We get it.
Fill in the blanks with like who you want. That's totally fine with us. So, okay, this one I think is interesting. Is it cheating if you're swiping on a dating app and not talking to anyone?
Okay, my answer on this is no, it's technically not cheating, but is
it's
it
not okay?
Is it incredibly inappropriate and wrong?
My opinion is if you are dating, you are in a committed, exclusive relationship. You should not have dating apps
at all.
Period.
Yeah, for sure. But there is that line though of like, have you made it official? Are you 100% exclusive?
If you are not exclusive,
then do whatever you want.
Fair game.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Fair game.
Full support.
But when you have both mutually agreed that you are in an exclusive relationship, you should not have a dating app profile.
Absolutely.
You certainly should not be.
Nope. Swiping.
I don't think it's cheating.
No.
But I do think it's wrong.
Is it inappropriate? Yes.
Yeah. It's not okay.
Definitely.
But technically not cheating.
Right. Yeah. No, I would definitely, we're on the same page. Yeah. For sure.
Okay. What's one off your list?
All right. So I have one of if they are still following their ex on social media.
Not cheating.
Not cheating.
And, okay, so that's like step one. Step two, are you okay with it?
Right.
I feel like I would be fine with it as long as like kind of whatever the intentions are behind.
Right.
following them because like I still follow some of my exes
on social media. And I actually feel a type of way about this. I have never unfollowed a single ex in my entire lifetime. And that includes like situationships and things like that too. Yeah,
none of my breakups have been like
that bad.
Or they were like bad people. It was just very much a realization of like, okay, we're not the best fit for each other. But like, you're a good person. I'm a good person. We were both like, and can see that.
And again, like to each their own, because, you know, if you were in a super toxic, super like messed up relationship, like please like unfollow, like protect yourself, do what you need to do. But for me personally, like the way I view it, and I've even had like really toxic, really abusive relationships that I still didn't unfollow. And because the way I view it is like, if I loved you at some point, like I'm still going to want to like somewhat keep up. Yeah. Like I'm always going to root for you in a way. Like even if you were horrible to me, like I hope you're better.
Also, we've both admitted multiple times on this podcast we're nosy Nellies and you just kind of want to keep tabs of what's going on. For sure. What's going on.
I want all the tea.
But I feel like it's again like what your intention is. Like if you're still following your ex because you hope to get back together with them while you're dating someone else, that's not okay. Absolutely. Right? So it just depends, I think, what your intentions
This is just making me think about the time that I watched Logan walk down the aisle in his best friend's wedding with his ex.
You know, again,
it happens.
It just depends what the situation is and what your intentions are. And like,
I thought it was hilarious.
Also, like some of these things, like of things that people like watching other people's videos, I feel like is also a reflection of like where you are in your relationship. True. Because you and Logan are like so secure, so much trust for each other. Like that is a completely different dynamic versus if the trust has been lost or broken,
or if there's insecurity there, or if there's something
because then those small little things that like in a healthy relationship may seem insignificant are like deep hits.
That is such a good point. Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. It really just depends on your security and also what you've been through, your own personal experiences, because somebody who's been cheated on a lot is obviously going to have some insecurity there.
Sure.
So, you know, there's just all these different factors. Yeah. But I just thought
trust. You gotta trust your partner.
I just made fun of Logan in that situation. I was like, have fun.
Okay, this is an interesting one.
Yes.
Speaking of social media, following and liking a lot of girls on social media. Or guys.
This.
Fill in the blank.
I think it depends on... It depends on the type of accounts that you're following.
Because there's a couple scenarios. And again, we're going like guys and girls here. Yeah. But if you have your guy who happens to have a lot of girlfriends, right? Yes. Or maybe they were in a fraternity, so they have a lot of friends who are in sororities, so they follow a lot of girls, but they are like, they know them in real life, they are like good friends, even acquaintances.
Even just acquaintances, like I don't care.
But like you actually know them in real life.
Right.
Or another thing I'm totally cool with, if it's a girl in like a hobby or interest that they're into. Like I was
like in the reptile world, we have so many like guy friends that like
or like a girl who's like, you know, big weightlifter and your guy likes weightlifting, or a girl that like is a hunter and your guy likes hunting. Right. Like if it's in their hobby, I'm like, whatever. Go for it. There are accounts and profiles though that don't have good intentions. Okay?
You know what we're talking about.
They don't have good intentions. And my thing is, if your guy is following a bunch of those and engaging with them, liking their stuff, whatever. Because not gonna lie, if I go to my Instagram search page, sometimes there's stuff up there that I'm didn't want to see that.
For sure.
I did not ask for that.
Here's the way I view this. Like, if a guy's gonna go and look at stuff, he's gonna go look at stuff. Like, I'm not gonna like stalk my person enough to like care about like what he's searching for, who he's searching for on social media in that way. But if you're following and engaging and you're in like a healthy long-term relationship, like no, just cut it out. That's it's just inconsiderate. It's just disrespectful.
Now, is it cheating?
It's not cheating, but it's disrespectful as hell. Like
I agree.
You know, it's like it's definitely not cheating. Nothing physical is happening. But honestly, like how embarrassing for you.
No.
That's embarrassing.
Don't be that person.
For the person doing that. Like you should be embarrassed.
Don't be that person.
No. So that's that one. That's a really good one because that one happens a lot. That one happens a whole lot.
Unfortunately.
This one's really interesting.
Cam, hit me.
If they have a coworker that they refer to as their work wife or work husband.
Is it cheating? No.
Is it wildly inappropriate
Yes.
and weird? Yes.
Yes. Like, why? I totally know the term work wife, work husband. It's the idea that, like, this is someone that you're spending so much time with, you're super close with.
You probably have a really good friendship.
It's always with the intention that it's a platonic relationship and never insinuates, like, something more. But for me, like, wife and husband titles are reserved for your wife and husband. Now, you can have a work bestie. I'm all for having a work bestie, but to say, like, to commonly refer to someone as, like, your work wife or work husband.
Again, it's just the disrespect. Like, it's just, I just feel like it's not necessary. And I feel like a lot of times that is used as, like, an excuse or, like, a way of covering something up as well. And I personally think that it, like, breeds insecurity in the relationship.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. It really, like, even though your spouse, partner, whoever doesn't actively work with you, in theory, they should still be supportive and know, like, what's going on. Like,
of course.
If I'm coming home from a hard day at work, you know who's going to get an earful, right? So it's just like, I feel like, I don't know, but they're obviously not in the office with you and whatever else. So, yeah, not cheating, but not a fan.
But yeah, just gross. Don't do that.
No. It's kind of fun. Okay, what's another one? Texting your ex happy birthday. Is that cheating?
It's not cheating, but it's like, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
Like, why? What's the point?
We got these examples, again, off of, like, TikTok or whatever. Yeah. And people were saying, yes, this is cheating.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's shocking.
And I'm like, but that's not cheating, though.
But it goes with, like, the intentions. Like, for example, like, and again, it's all the variables, right?
Right.
It's like did you...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, did you, like, date this person in high school and it's, like, 15 years later and you're, like, still friends? Like, okay, I don't care. Text them happy birthday. Like, that's fine. But, like...
But we've all had that guy.
Yes.
Who hits you up on your birthday and like, uses that as, like, a window to conversation. To then, like, try and start something up. So that's to your point of the intention.
Yes.
If your intention of texting happy birthday... or your intention of following them is because you're still holding out for that or you want something to turn into more, whatever. No.
Yes.
But like I said, I have exes of mine and
that, like, you're friendly with. Yeah.
Yeah. And I certainly do not text them happy birthday every year, but, like, I've definitely texted them happy birthday since
on occasion
we've broken up. And I have full confidence that if I text them happy birthday or if they texted me happy birthday, I'm like, thank you so much.
Thanks.
And I would not talk to them again until my birthday. Then
I think
next year.
I think a lot of this also too, like, comes with, like, age and longevity in whatever relationship you're in. Because, like, I used to do a lot of that in my 20s and I had a lot of guys that would do that to me in my 20s. But, like, now that I'm in my 30s, like, that just, like, never really happens. And
maybe, like, that didn't work in my 20s, so I'm trying a new technique.
Well, yeah, it's just, like, I don't know. I feel like some of that, like, once you've been in a relationship for, I would go as far as saying, like, over 6 months to a year, it's like, why are you really reaching out to that person? Like, what purpose is that actually serving? Unless you're, like, in a friend group or something like that. And that it's like, okay, like, I get that.
Yeah. I
mean, you know the vibes if it's weird with that ex. Like, if it's weird and if the door is open, you can sense that, you know? And, like,
I've texted exes happy birthday. I can't remember how long after we had broken up, but it would have been more than 6 months because it would have been, like, their...
I mean, I meant 6 months to a year of you being in a new relationship. Yeah, that's what I meant.
I don't know if I was in a new relationship. I probably would have still texted them happy birthday, though. It would have come from a place of, like, genuinely caring for that person. Not in a romantic sense whatsoever, but just kind of what you're saying of, like, following them. Like, at a certain time, like, this person
mattered a lot to me.
Yeah. I'm also a big birthday person, though. I know, so, like, I just have a soft spot.
It's like, I get it. And if you're the girlfriend or boyfriend out there who's, like, annoyed that your partner is, like, messaging their ex on their birthday, like, I get it. You're valid. I get it.
No, and, like, where I am now, I would never actually text an ex happy birthday, but, like, I know when their birthdays are.
Oh, of course.
And it crosses my mind, and I just kind of think to myself, like, I hope you have a good day.
Yeah.
You know? And just, like, wish you nothing.
You're just wishing them love from afar.
Yeah.
Or, like, not love, but, like...
Not love, but just good vibes, you know?
Kindness.
Like, yeah. You know, but I'm just like...
Yeah.
Hope you have a good day. And also, like, I think there's an element of fondness because there was probably a point where you celebrated them and they celebrated you. And there's just, like, an element of gratitude.
Yeah. Appreciation.
I don't know.
Appreciation.
I don't know if that's, like, weird to say that about an ex, but...
You know I'm a nostalgic girly.
I say that about,
I feel
like,
that
friends,
way, too.
Like, friends you're no longer friends with, right?
Right.
Like,
you think of them on their birthday.
You know, like... They were there for you and you were there for them and like you have these fond memories.
You can't help but think of them sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I get that. I totally get that.
Okay, another one. Is it cheating if you go to dinner one-on-one with a girl? Or they go to dinner with a girl?
Or like opposite sex, right?
Yeah. Or same sex.
Or yeah, either way.
Goes both ways. Yeah. But if you go one-on-one to dinner and I'm just gonna like set the scene. This is a sit-down dinner. Like this is a dinner, not like go to the McDonald's drive-thru.
This is so hard for me as a girl with a lot of good guy friends.
I was gonna say both of us have close guy friends.
It's like I literally have like very, very like for example, like one of my best guy friends from literally middle school like reached out to me one time because he was like flying into the airport that was right next to me and his literal wife was like, oh, hit up Lyssa, like go have dinner with her, like go hang out. And I was like, thanks so much. So good to see you. Like, yeah. And it was totally normal and fine and not weird.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's so hard because it depends on the relationship. And I'm so sorry if you're not one of these people, but I am a firm believer that like opposite genders can be very good friends. And so it's so hard. I feel so weird about that one. I don't know. I'm
going to say it's not cheating.
I agree. Yeah.
And I'm going to say that that's something that I'm totally okay with.
I feel that way too.
Like I don't have any weird feelings as long, going back to what we said before, the intentions.
Yes.
Right? If you're trying to start something up or you have a crush on that person, whatever, then like you got to be self-aware of that and like don't put yourself in that situation. But if it's genuinely like a friend that you have, I'm like, yeah, go grab dinner. Yeah, like
I'm not weird about that.
No.
Logan literally had happy hour with like a girl coworker like last week.
Where
like,
it gets, I think, where it could like start to go down the bad path. Again, if you had like a crush or feelings or whatever, or if you hid it from the person,
that's
or if you
said,
hey, I'm gonna go grab dinner with a girlfriend. Like if you like, I was like,
if
I
said that,
I'm getting dinner
but it
with
was
Lyssa, and then I went and got dinner with one of my guy friends.
Yeah,
but out of like. Because of maybe like my partner's insecure or like I just didn't want to even like bring that up because what if it got taken? That is where the trust is broken.
Completely broken. Yeah.
So again, being fully transparent and you're like very forthcoming of like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna go grab dinner with like Mark or whatever. Then like no sweat off my back, you know.
I don't care. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it just it all has to do with A, the intention, and B, your security in your relationship.
Yeah. Did you have tough. Any other ones? I think those were all the ones I had.
No, I think. This one's real interesting. So I have, if they're still friends with somebody that they met through a dating app.
Not cheating.
Not cheating.
Very questionable, though.
Super questionable.
I need a little history lesson.
Like, that's the person that you should be skeptical of.
Like, now, I do know people off dating apps that like I
have become friends with. It's like you didn't have a romantic connection, but you had a friend connection. Right? Yeah, like and that happens.
In them, like nothing ever like came of it.
Yeah, you didn't vibe on a romantic level, but like you were cool as friends. Like that does happen. That is real. I'm not gonna like invalidate that.
No, but none of them are friends that I'm like friends with. And honestly, if I started seriously dating someone, like I'm not close to any of them. That I would just kind of be like. Let those like
dissipate.
Yeah. And I would just kind of like not like make any like formal like we can't be friends anymore because I'm now.
But you just like you just slow ghost.
Yeah. Like, I just would not entertain.
Yeah.
Like hanging out anymore.
Again, like it depends because I'm thinking of people who like move to a new city, have no friends, and then they like happen to make a friend of the opposite gender or same or whatever the case may be. Somebody that they were at one point interested in dating from a dating app, but it didn't work out romantically and they stayed really good friends. Yeah. Like I understand that to an extent. My number one thing is like, is the partner involved? Also, like, have you met that person? Are you comfortable with the vibe that they're giving off? Are they still interested in the partner?
None of mine, they were all scenarios where like they end up either not being as attractive as I thought they were in person.
Of course.
And that was immediately like it's not there.
Friend zone.
Immediately, right? So like
Yeah.
all the people that I've stayed in touch with since being on a dating app, like
Or somebody you would never date.
We're like, well, one date, that's it, right? Like nothing ever came of it. And honestly, the friendships fizzled out anyways.
They usually
so I'm
do. They usually do. So
but I have to imagine there are scenarios where people like did
that's what I
date
mean.
and then decided, hey, we're better off as friends.
Right.
Like that, I don't know.
It's all such a case-by-case basis. It's
that
so
one's
weird.
a little trickier.
I know. It's such a like weird scenario.
But the act of like still being friends though, not cheating.
Yeah. No,
but you
I
should have
completely
some
agree.
conversations.
No, I completely agree. The only one that I have left, and this one's kind of a lame one, is just if you hug others of the opposite gender or whatever, or like of somebody that you would be interested in. I think that's so dumb, and I don't think that's cheating.
No.
I think that's really dumb. Like hug whoever, I don't care. As long as it's not like a creepy, like really long,
wandering
weird hug.
hands.
Yeah, like that's different. But if it's just like a normal, like who cares? You know?
Yeah.
I'm just realizing right now, like how chill I am with stuff.
I like that would just not even like cross.
Yeah, I just don't
cross my mind.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
Also,
just don't
I'm
think
not
that's
a big
weird.
fan of the side hug. Like I feel like that's like
give me a full frontal. Like that's.
I don't know, and I know their intention. I know they're trying to be like respectful and like
that's
whatever.
fine.
But
like, I lead with however people lead. Like I'll hug you however you're attempting to hug me. You know.
But I feel like I got friend zoned. Not that I needed to be friend zoned, but like that's kind of how it comes across. I'm like,
which in certain situations is appropriate and okay.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah, I'm just like
I'm a hugger.
If you're gonna hug me, I don't.
Yeah,
just give me a fist bump at that point.
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah, no, I'm a big full on hug fan.
Yeah.
I like the good hugs, you know. So I think it just varies. Everything is so situational.
It totally is.
But also, like at the end of the day, if the vibes are weird, the vibes are weird, and you can pick up on it. And at the end of the day, if you're uncomfortable with it, and your partner doesn't respect that they need to make you comfortable in a different way, then like don't be with that person.
And that's what goes to the thing we said at the very beginning of all this.
Right.
Is like it's healthy to have those conversations of things that, and if it's uncomfortable for you, for your significant other to give full on hugs to girls or whatever,
then discuss
just
it.
Say something.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Be grown-ups, have an adult relationship, and have a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, easier said than done.
I know.
But I do think it's good because you would rather be proactive or communicative versus like resenting or uncomfortable
or like stuck in like a terrible situation.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one of those things. It's always important to know where the line is because the line is different for different people. You know?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little bit different for us, but we talked about bachelorettes, venomous species.
Yeah, we covered
all this stuff.
A wide range today.
Yeah, so be sure if you're going to be in Pomona at the LA Pet Fair,
come hang out.
Come say hi. We'd love to see you guys.
Also, send us a DM in advance if you're going to be there, and hopefully we'll get to see you.
I have no idea how we're going to find anyone.
No, I know. I just mean like send us a DM, and then if you see us in person, let us know that you did.
You're like, I'm at the table with
just be like, hey, I was that person that messaged you. Like,
yes,
just
would love that.
We would love it. We're excited.
Would love that. So yeah, I think that wraps this up.
Yeah.
As always, you can subscribe, follow the podcast, leave us a review, sign up for early access.
Yeah, we've got all the things. Give us a follow individually as well if you want. We've got all
Neptune
your socials.
Chameleon.
Lyssa's Lizards.
And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Talk to you later, girlies.
Bye.